Hey, everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house. Another edition. Summer is winding down. Where is it going? It goes by very quickly, but we're going to talk more about that in a moment. I'm going to introduce my guest now. He's a longtime friend of the show, Kyle Hodsdon, the athletic director over at Newburyport Clippers. Kyle, good to see you again, man. How's the summer going?
It's great. It's great to be here. Summer has gone.
Yeah, it's gone, right?
We're now into fall sports, and we're in full swing.
You guys have to end summer even more abruptly than all of us. I'm still going to hold on for like another week or two. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It is good. So fall sports, yeah, but seriously, tryouts are here. The kids are, back, and I mean, this is that time of year. Here you go, back to work, right?
Yeah. We started football and golf last Friday.
Yeah.
So they're in like day 4 right now of practices, and everybody else started yesterday.
When is the first football game, to give a good? I'm going to turn you up a little bit. Talk right into that mic for us. Thanks.
Sure.
What is that first football game? Just to give everybody an idea of how soon it speeds up.
We're 2 weeks away from our first game. We open with 2 non-league games.
Okay.
And then the league starts, and hopefully the playoffs.
2 weeks. Oh, my goodness, man. So you jump right into this. What's the anything different about this fall? Anything we need to know about from a Newburyport standpoint? New coaches, new rules, new uniforms? I don't know. Whatever's interesting.
No, I mean, we're just keeping moving forward. We do have a new field hockey coach and interim coach, Shannon Beaton. Shannon Haley now.
Yeah.
She's a teacher at the Bresnahan School, and
she replaces
Jessica Philbrick, who had a baby.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's why I asked. I know Jess. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So Jess is on leave for a year.
Okay.
And has a baby, and so Coach Haley's doing a great job right now. The numbers are high, and
cool.
We have some kids who are accepting scholarships to play at high levels, multiple sports. So
nice.
It's people are pretty upbeat right now on campus.
That is great. What's the facilities all good and everything? Did you guys make any changes from last year, or we pretty much got the same layout?
The facilities are the same. Down at Fuller Field, where our track is.
Yep.
The next phase was completed. So now there's bleachers, there's parking. So our sub-varsity soccer teams will have a better venue. Really lucky to have that as a JV field.
Oh, yeah.
And our stadium is fantastic. And, of course, cross-country at Maudsley, there's nothing better than that.
No, there's not.
Volleyball's in the gym. So
you guys always have a cross-country and track. Where does that come from, by the way, Newburyport being such a juggernaut with that? You guys have been great ever since I've been coming through here.
Yeah, I think there's a number of reasons. One of them are coaches at all levels. They really promote being part of the team. And, our numbers were up to 130 in cross-country. We take 3 buses to go to a cross-country meet, which is crazy.
130?
130 kids. And, they've won league championships and state championships consistently, as well as track last year won 2 state championships. But I think it's a running community. You see there are running families here.
Yeah.
But I'll single out Don Henniger. He's like the absolute best person to be leading our student athletes.
Kids love him.
Level. They do, and he loves the kids.
Yeah. That's important. I mean, it's just there's something too. I think you mentioned Maudsley, and I mean we come here with the dogs. My wife loves running around here. There is something about just being a nice area to run in too. I think maybe you grow up with that. You become a runner, and then you say, "Yeah, I'm going to do it in high school too." Of course I am. You know no other way, right? There's something to the trails and everything.
It's beautiful. It's terrible place to park to watch an event. But, my first event here in Newburyport 8 years ago, it was covering a cross-country meet.
Yeah.
And it was a Saturday, and I pulled in, and they told me I had to pay to park. And then they looked at my license plate because it was from out of state, and they said you have to pay double because you're out of state. And I thought they were kidding, but that was the truth. So.
Oh my goodness! I'm the athletic director.
I have to be here. But so now I'm creative where I park and take the bike down there.
Oh, that is funny.
It's a great place.
Some changes within the Cape Ann League. I don't think any teams changed or anything, but we have, I know Pentucket has all new facilities. Dan Thornton over there could not have been more grateful to you and everybody. It seemed like everybody helped them along through the process, which I don't know what you guys did exactly, but he said all the other Cape Ann League teams were very great as we were going through that transition and getting new fields. I'm sure that's a real pain in the neck, not having home games and practice fields and all that. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit, but
I can, because my first year was the final phase for the stadium.
Oh yeah, right.
And I started 2 months before we played that Thanksgiving game. So we played all of our football games on the road, and that is tough on the opposing schools to accept that responsibility. But we all do it. We all go through it, and we understand the situation, and it's going to be a better outcome for Pentucket now. The facilities are beautiful, and they're going to have 2 turf fields and lights, and
everybody's going turf now, huh?
Well, it's easy to maintain. More available. Like, we had rain. The rain that we got yesterday afternoon didn't impact our practices. As long as it doesn't thunder and lightning, we can use the turf field. We can plow the turf field. So you would think teams would have a competitive advantage if they had turf. So I think the Pentucket teams, who are competitive anyway, but now they're going to have more opportunity. They're going to practice under the lights. Their days are extended.
Yeah, true.
And it's just easier to be on the turf.
You don't even think about that. They didn't have lights, so you probably rolling teams out there until when? 9, 10 o'clock at night?
We practice until 9.
Yeah.
When the school starts, and we have youth on there until 9 in the spring.
So wintertime, you could get an extra 4 hours of day than versus a team that without lights, really, if you want to keep teams on the field.
Correct. Right. But like you said, now it's more common to have turf than, Pentucket, like Dan Thornton's day is going to extend now. Which is good for their community. And now I think Hamilton Wenham really is the last school that doesn't have the lights or the turf. And,
and then you're right. You're not practicing on the turf, so it must be a little different. I mean, obviously you get used to it because you play all your road games on turf, but it's nice to be able to practice on the fields that you're mostly playing on too, right? Different bounces, whatever sport you're talking about, but there is an advantage to that even.
It is. You would think there would be, and I'll give you an example of how it didn't work out that way. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago before COVID, and Dan Thornton is very generous and willing always to help, to accommodate or to assist, to make it better. And we had a football playoff game coming up, and it was terrible weather, and a grass field that they had over the course of the season really takes a beating. And any type of rain, it's just terrible.
Right.
And so I offered to host the playoff game at Newburyport High School. And he accepted. And we had beat them earlier in the year. And they came over and beat us. So,
oh no!
So they practiced on grass, and they came over and they beat us. So, so you would think that would be the case, but usually the kids still have to perform out there.
Yeah, a lot of times it does have to do with the actual team performance more than the conditions, right? Oh man, that's too funny. Again, Kyle Hodsdon joining us, athletic director over at Newburyport. As the school year is first day of classes is September.
It's next Wednesday, Thursday.
It's crazy because I don't have kids, so I'm not like in it really yet. So I kind of forget. In my head, I'm like August. Those first weeks of September are still kind of summer-like. But for you guys, it's all like it's back to business now. You're in it.
We look at our first day as last Friday. When the first day of school comes, that really it limits us now because our coaches are up there. They're organizing. They're double sessions. They're doing multiple things and.
What are the rules with that? Like, because I remember when I was a kid, I feel like things were, at least there was like a movement to like change things. I think it may be something that happened with like working the football guys too hard in my neck of the woods. I remember, as far as like the early double sessions in the heat of the summertime, did they like push those back, or what are the rules as far as like how early can you gather?
Yeah, sure. We have restrictions, football specifically. It's outlined like when they can have contact, how long they can practice. When they can wear helmets and full pads. So it's outlined, and we have to follow that. And they gradually get into the contact. They have to do it after a certain number of days. And so it really depends on the sport. Some sports are able to go doubles now. Some have to wait a certain amount of time. We're really fortunate at this point because of the weather. The heat index. The MIA came out with heat restrictions or rules, and there's a wet bulb thermometer that measures humidity and temperature and multiple things, and it gives you a reading. And if your score or the number is higher than it is allowed, you can't practice. So we do as much as we can early in the morning and later at night to avoid that, but it's been a dream for all of the teams for the last few days.
The MIA actually gives you that? That's like a thing everybody has?
No, they give us guidelines.
Oh, guidelines. Okay, and gotcha.
And it's up to us to figure it out.
Gotcha.
So it's our responsibility.
Somebody else has to do the math work. Yeah.
Well,
or whatever you call it.
There's actually a tool, and our athletic trainer, Molly.
What do you call that? What do we call it?
It was a wet bulb.
A wet bulb.
Wet bulb
Okay.
thermometer. So she's out there, and she actually tracks it each day, and so we know exactly where we're at.
And so you fall within the MIAA guidelines. All right. Well, speaking of the MIAA, you guys, how many years now under this new system with playoffs? Is it 2? Or was it just last year?
Last year was
just last year, first year? Yeah, in the pandemic, it's all a wash for me. Did we like it?
Kind of mixed results. Personally, I did like it.
Like, just so people who don't know, they made it more like opened up the field where it wasn't like regional. So if you were, it's more like NCAA March Madness. If you're the 1 seed and you play the 64th team, you could play that 64th team, whether they're in Western Mass or Cape Cod or whatever. You got to travel. So it wasn't a regional thing. They opened it all up. Best plays the worst, and everybody, that's the tournament.
I think schools learned from the fall to the spring.
Yeah.
They started working out the tweaks, and scheduling non-leagues are important for your power rankings. We ended up with 2 teams, number 1 in the state last year in the spring. So I think it was pretty accurate. In the fall, people talk about one of the negatives being travel.
Yeah.
You have to travel far. In my position, I had to go to New Bedford on Thursday night to see volleyball.
Oh.
On Friday, I went to Foxborough to see football.
Oh, man.
And then Saturday, I went to Norwell area to see soccer.
Okay.
And also cross country was down in that area. So.
Yeah. I remember that Friday trip. Maybe it's just because it's football and, football is a powerhouse sport, of course, but I remember that Friday, probably because Friday afternoon traffic, too. Yeah. I remember that getting a lot of news around here, and it caught my eye, and I said, ooh, Newburyport's going to go down to Foxborough on a Friday, probably a concert around, I don't know,
But I was the one who had to go to all of them. The teams only went to one.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it. I enjoyed going to different areas, and really the way that it worked out, the better teams did last, and they were playing. The best teams weren't beating up each other in the region.
Yep.
Now on the other side, it was nice to have those regional championships also.
Yeah.
And then advance. So there's 2 ways to look at it, but I think this is here to stay, and I think they'll keep working. The logistics out of I will say a personal opinion, margin of victory probably shouldn't be in high school sports.
Yeah.
Where teams are trying to score.
Blow teams out.
Well, it doesn't have to be a blowout, but football, for example, I think point differential is 14.
Okay.
So if I'm winning by 12 with 2 seconds left and the ball at the 1, I'm going to try to punch it in because those 2 extra points are going to help me in my standings.
Gotcha.
So the gamesmanship, sportsmanship.
It's kind of a classless move to punch one in.
Right,
game's over.
But it
means something.
You're kind of forced to do that.
Yeah. So I guess coaches understand that, but it's probably not a good example to set either. Maybe that's something that could be tweaked, I guess. I've never liked the differential thing anyway. Even like the, I don't know, I guess some sports like I don't know what they call them now, but like the slaughter rules. I was watching a Little League game the other day, and even those are get kind of dicey. Like I've seen some wild comebacks in games where I don't know, maybe that team shouldn't, I don't know.
Yeah, teams that don't have a score clock, there's no time, then they could come back.
Yeah.
And we see that in baseball and softball.
Yeah. You've done you like the Little League World Series, by the way? I bet you're a guy who enjoys that.
I do. In fact, I was supposed to be there right now.
Oh, yeah?
I was going to take my son for the weekend.
To Williamsport?
To Williamsport.
Oh.
I was going to be he woke up on Saturday morning and wasn't feeling well.
Oh.
Didn't feel like making the 7-hour trip.
Yeah.
And he actually plays in Little League where we live.
Yep.
And he won the state championship last year.
Oh, cool.
So he's got 1 more year. So hoping they can get to the regionals and then maybe give it a shot.
It's such a cool. Have you ever done it yourself along that way at some point?
Never.
Me neither. I always wanted to. I don't know. We had a fun. I always loved those years of playing that tournament's great. And I don't know. I caught the kids the other day, and did your nephew play? Because he's making a pro run here, right?
He is. Yeah. They
name again. Sorry, I ask you every time.
Yeah, sure. Cody Morris.
Yeah. Cody. BC Eagle.
Former BC Eagle.
Yeah, former BC Eagle.
They are
once you're always, right?
That's right. He played Cal Ripken in his town.
Oh, okay.
So they had a different regional and national tournament. Okay.
We were actually talking about that the other day. Cal Ripken's a little bit new to me. I was more basic. I was Little League. Cal Ripken is another form of Little League. Is that like a more of a location thing, or just do you have your head around that?
Yeah, it's really the community which they choose to participate in. As a league, and the Cal Ripken's nice because you can lead. The bases are a little bit longer.
Yep.
Pitchers have to go from the stretch, so it's more like it gets them ready for the bigger bases quicker.
Yeah.
Whereas Little League, it's closer. There's no leading. You can't steal until the ball goes by.
So it's a bridge thing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice. But Little League is really the pure sport, or it should be. For in most cases, it is.
Yeah.
And it's the sportsmanship and the gamesmanship of it, and you see that in some of the, the examples that you saw. Somebody get hit the other night.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I saw that.
Actually,
Kim went over and gave him a hug, right?
Yeah, so I mean, you don't see that many places.
Yeah, no kidding. I remember I tell this great Little League story. I don't know if you know him or maybe know the name around here, but Roger Day was the high school coach at Danvers High School for, God, he probably did 30 years, something close to that, and had a remarkable career over there. He holds all the records, and one thing I always marveled about him, he would be down at the Little League fields when I was, you're 10, 11, 12. And then even after that, I remember I was doing some umpiring for as a 15, 16, 17-year-old, however old I was. And I called all the games, and he came up to me one day behind the fence behind home plate, and he says, "Kids tell me you're one of the best umpires around." I'm like, "You're out here asking about the umpiring of the Little League? I mean, you have your pulse on everything Danvers baseball around here." And I was thinking as the high school coach, I was like, no wonder why this guy's so good at what he does. It's I don't know, just a high school coach who lives it in every way. I'm sure you know some of those people along the way.
Yeah, and that really sets programs apart from one another. When you have somebody who's completely vested like that, and we have coaches on our staff who do get involved at that level because they understand that's their future. Yeah. And if you have something to work with, obviously you'll have more success. Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I mean, what's the? Are you your coaching crop right now? How much turnover? Just the one field hockey for the fall? Just the one. Right. That's a nice thing, right? It is, and we typically have very little turnover. We haven't interviewed for a head position. Actually, we do. We have another head coach this fall. Mike Guthrie is our golf coach, and he had been on the staff, so I didn't think of him as new. Feels like he's been there. Yeah, he's been there, so he's taking over as well for Steve Malinfant. So we are pretty lucky that the coaches stay. And Steve was working on my chipping last time I had him on the show. I won't comment. I told him I was struggling around the greens. He was telling me tricks in the studio here. But nice. But all right, so new golf coach too. Very good. Golf is fall still, right, around here? Golf is I remember right. It's funny because it differs in some sports. So and the tennis is it spring for both? It is. Okay, yep. That's different because I think when I was playing, I think I was spring and the girls were fall. In Danvers, I know different leagues obviously, but can do it different ways. But that was always weird. And then the state tournament had to figure out a weird way to organize it. Mm-hmm. So there is a hard thing putting together. That's the hard thing about putting together high school sports in a state like Massachusetts, right? To get that kind of cohesion, I guess, get everybody on the same page when it comes to tournaments. Trying the MIA new tournament rules, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to put on high school sports. It's not. There's some things work and some things don't. You try to tweak it. Unfortunately, some things don't stay too long. You get used to it, and then it changes. But consistency is important, especially in the wide state that we have, people from all regions. Whatever we're doing in one sport, we should be doing in another as well, and that seems to be getting better. Yep. It was. Give me an example of where that maybe wasn't happening. Well, you have tournament direct. The MIA hires a tournament director in a sport. Yep. And then the tournament director runs that tournament. So a hockey tournament might be run differently than a basketball tournament. Oh, I see. But the people involved, we want it to work the same for both. Gotcha. So now they still have they still have sport directors, but the MIA is more involved now. Okay. So that it's more consistent. So it's better. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and I'm sure scheduling. I know scheduling is always a mess for those tournament games. You can never let you know soon enough, and Yeah, they give us a window. You're going to play on one of these 3 days. Oh, is that what they do now? And okay, yeah. So it's that needs to be tweaked as well. Yeah. Because if a team plays on the third day of that window, you're not going to play the first day of the next window, so some teams have a disadvantage.
Gotcha.
So like in a state like Maine and New Hampshire, you're going to play, they tell you the number 1 seed is going to play Saturday at 2 o'clock. You know that months in advance.
Gotcha.
So maybe because of the number of teams here, they can't do that.
Yeah.
But I think probably it could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
When you think that, compare it to like New Hampshire, for instance, and your all the different schools, because you live in New Hampshire, is that right?
I do.
You do? Is that I always wondered like if you could ever take like, and this is probably too far extension thinking, but like I remember teams that would win like state tournaments in Massachusetts were always like, I wonder where we stand like rest of New England. You know, does everybody ever talk about that, doing like regional best of the best sorts of deals?
Yeah, that would be nice. You know, that doesn't happen. Just number one, like if the basketball championship happens, spring sports start the next day.
It really is like clockwork, isn't it? Yeah.
And then same thing with football, Thanksgiving game, and then winter sports starts. But back when I was a kid, they had the New England basketball tournament, and even like before that, it used to be at the Boston Garden, and you used to have the winners from each state play. And
of all the New England states.
Of the New England states.
Yes,
I guess I never saw that. Maybe I wasn't old enough at the time, but it was a big deal to go play at the Garden, and you represented your state.
Yeah. The Garden's still doing that for the hockey and basketball, or?
Well, sometimes they didn't for hockey this year.
Okay. Where'd it go?
Oh, they did for hockey. They didn't for basketball.
Gotcha.
Basketball was in Lowell.
Okay.
Sometimes it depends on the availability of those, those arenas as well.
Yeah. And this will be the first season really for you guys with, well, I don't know. I guess last year you were kind of pandemic free, right? I mean, did we have any more of those restrictions out there?
Well, we don't have the restrictions.
I'm like hesitant to even say it.
Yeah.
Just we shouldn't even talk about it, but you have to.
I looked at my notes from last fall, and we were still wearing masks indoors.
Last fall, really?
Last fall,
okay.
And in school and for volleyball.
Wow.
The outdoor sports weren't, but we were wearing them on buses.
Huh.
So and I just met with the boys soccer and the field hockey teams this morning, and I said this. It feels like this is as close to normal as it's been in the last 2.5 years, and you can sense that optimism with the kids.
Yeah.
They're just being themselves again.
Yep.
And they didn't have the protocols and restrictions.
Yeah, your baseball guys, who were great, by the way. Thank you for sending me a great group of baseball guys. They were very funny. Unbelievable season, by the way. Let's look back real quickly at that. The baseball year was unreal.
Yeah, they had a great regular season.
Yeah.
And then towards the last week and a half, they stumbled a little bit, but that's the sport. It happens. Yeah. And, they were going into the tournament and limping a little bit, you know, but they were great kids.
Yeah.
And the seniors were fantastic. Sometimes seniors, mid-spring, you're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
And these guys were all in.
Yeah.
And I would watch some of our teams practice, and I watched the baseball team practice, and the seniors are now done school, and they're coming in with a bounce to their step, and they had fun, and they had success, and they were playing really good baseball, and they made a fantastic run.
Yeah.
Probably the turning point was at Medfield, Kurt Schilling Field, in the round of 16, I believe it was. And Medfield was very good, but our kids found a way. Base hit, error, walk, just so much energy. Yeah. And came back and beat that team, who may have had more talent, but they weren't the better team that day. Yeah. And then the round of 8, maybe that was the round of 8 it was. And then the semifinals, we were definitely the better team. And then the championship game, we're playing the number 1 team in the state. Yeah. And they're 24-0. We had just beaten their girls tennis team in that morning in the state championship. Oh, wow. Yeah. They were 24-0.
It's unbelievable.
And our kids, I was in the dugout before the game, and they were unfazed. Yeah. They it's like they've been there before. Loose. And Jack Fellner pitched a great game. It was 2-1 a game. You know, and it was really a great run. Yeah, how much fun is that to go through? There's nothing better, right? There's not. To get to that, to go to 2 state championship games, and it's not all about winning, but what a day to see the kids experience that was, and the parents experience the excitement of playing at that level, because there were 70 teams in our division. 32 make the playoffs, plus a few that are over 500, and there's only 2 left. Everybody else is done. Crazy. You know, it was nice.
And everybody's watching, whether you're there or not. Everybody's watching on Twitter, or everybody's following. Who's going to take home the, who's going to win, who's going to get there, who's going to win. It's great to be a part of that. Those guys we had on. You're right when you talk about that weird time of year, because the senior slide, we used to call it, like that happens. You're usually committed to a college if you're going to college, and you really don't have to do the school thing anymore. Those guys impressed me so much because they were like, man, we are like more than ever living up every practice. Like practice is like, we're cherishing every moment because this is like our final moments of high school. And I was like, this group's kind of special, actually. Like, you don't always hear that. I mean, as much as you'd like to think that every team is like, like that till the very end, it's just not the case with high school kids. Some kids check out, maybe they're done with the coach. I've been on some of those teams before where teams stop playing for the coach. And, but that group of kids was special. They were having fun till the end.
Yeah, the team's success really comes from senior leadership, and it's hard to win without senior leadership, and that's a perfect example of great kids, great leaders, making it fun for the underclassmen and having success.
Yeah, what's it like in your position? I may have asked you this before over the years. I can't. We've had you on many times. You're a veteran in this conference now, in this league, the Cape Ann League. But what is it like when you see those group of seniors go? Like, are you always begging that you could have one more year with the great senior captains, or because it's kind of weird? I always think you guys must be like, all right, new batch gone. You love these kids for a little bit, then they go. New batch. Love these kids, then they go. Is there something weird about that, or like, it must be hard to let some of those senior kids go, especially the good ones, the good leaders.
It is, and we've been really fortunate, especially recently, to have excellent classes coming through.
Yeah.
But we see them go each sport. So in the fall, they finish. Some continue on playing a sport, some don't. And then in the winter, same thing, and then in the spring, obviously, it's over. But It is difficult. We're on a nice run here, class after class, and I think we have 4 who have committed to Division I to play a sport, 4 different sports already. So they're not just good kids; they're very successful.
Right.
And our numbers, we're up to like right now we have over 50% of our school playing a sport right now.
Wow.
So even though school starts
that is a big number, right? I mean, in comparison, I think that's a huge number.
It is.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Right, my first year, 8 years ago, it was 52% of our kids that played a sport all season, all year.
Yeah.
Now we're doing that in one season.
Nice.
And we were up to 76% of our students participated in at least one sport.
So. That a lot goes into that too. You look at the top with you, but you look at your coaches. I'm sure you could give me a million reasons why you have seen that, but you look at kids, helping kids, urging kids to play. I mean, it's all that stuff, right?
It is, and it starts with the coaches and their involvement with the younger kids and the youth levels and the generating interest, and then we have success. Our teams have won 23 Cape Ann League Kinney championships in the last 2 years. Yeah. So winning kind of breeds a little bit too.
Kids like to see people celebrate. I want to be that kid someday.
That's it. So, it's a nice cycle, but it's the coaching and the experience that they provide, and I can't say it enough how excited I am for our coaching staff, and we're really lucky to have the people that we have, not just varsity coaches, but the sub-varsity coaches as well. We have former head coaches as assistant coaches in many of our sports. Yeah.
Great find on your tennis head coach too for the girls. She came in and did the show. Remind me of the name.
Janice Schulson.
I don't know if Janet's coming back this time around, but she did a great fill-in year. Unbelievable, right?
Yeah, she is coming back.
She is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. She has a daughter on the team. Who's,
outstanding.
Happened to be number 1 in the state. So.
yeah. Quite the player. I'm a tennis. And you guys, when I came here, and I think when you got hired, correct me if I'm wrong, but was there no tennis team for the boys?
There was a tennis team, barely.
Barely, okay.
And then we lost it. Yeah. And we co-opted with Triton, and now we had 21.
Yeah, you're back.
We're back, and we have good younger kids coming up too. I mean,
same deal, just starting over again and just rebuilding. Is that all it is?
I think providing a positive experience with the people that we had, and with the co-op at Triton, plus some work that maybe the local tennis club is doing. Yep. And there's some true tennis players coming up. There was a time it was just athletes that we got out there. Yeah. But now it's tennis players. And, during COVID, I'll use the name Finn Sullivan. He was a 4-sport varsity player that year.
Wow.
Because tennis, the way we did the 4 seasons.
I remember that, yeah.
And when he brought some of his friends over, he brought some athletes that played other sports to that tennis sport. And sometimes tennis, it could be, if you're a tennis player, you may not play other sports. That's one of the unique sports that you might specialize in.
Right.
But he brought some interest, and I think we're building off that still, where kids tried it and like, hey, this is
interesting.
James Scally's another one who's a basketball player, and he played that year with Finn, and they continued. They were captains this year, and I think they were like the Daily News Player of the Year or Doubles of the Year.
So those names stick with you. That's interesting. It's funny how the couple kids like that can just do it. You knew that broke my heart as a tennis guy when I heard Newburyport was losing tennis. I said, how does Newburyport not have enough kids to...
Right.
I almost cried about it. Last question here. Kyle Hodsdon, nice enough to join us again. Athletic director over at Newburyport, getting ready for the fall season. Nice enough to take a few minutes with us today. Appreciate that. Should shout out Sarah Blackstone, too, doing a great job hustling in here for us on another day here in Newburyport in our studios. Every coach I talk to, this is like the hardest time of year right now because they love it, of course, getting back at it and seeing the kids, but cutting. Tryouts always leads to some of these teams that just can't take on this many kids. What is your best advice to the coach out there who is maybe going through this for the first time? And wait a minute, I have to cut 12 kids? How am I going to do that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Nobody likes to cut anyone. If we do have to cut someone, I suggest that they do it personally, one-on-one to them and talk to them rather than putting up a list like some people might do. But we do everything we can to include everyone. So a sport like cross country, it can be we'll get a 4th bus if we need to. The sports like volleyball that's restricted indoors, that's really the big one. The other sports like the soccers, we have 3 teams. We're going to have 3 teams for field hockey this year. And in fact, at the league field hockey meeting last night, there's only 2 of us that have a JV team, never mind a 3rd team. So we're in a different situation in Newburyport, very fortunate to have the participants. But we're not golf, we're not cutting anybody. You might get cut, meaning sent from the varsity to the JV. Yeah. But actually removing somebody from a program, we don't want to do that. Sometimes we have no choice. Yeah. Because we're restricted. But I haven't. The coaches have a good opportunity now. They have, with no school starting, they have a week plus to really evaluate kids. Yeah. And give them a chance. So they have a pretty good grasp on it. Yep. So yeah, it's if they can make it personal, if they have to reduce numbers, I would suggest that and never make it. Just a list. The list is, I've talked about this with coaches of yours here over the years. It was always the list with me. Like, I don't think I can't remember, and I played 3 sports. I don't think I ever had a situation where a coach would pull in kids and say, we're going to sit down with them for 10 minutes. It was always, I remember running after the bell, running down to the gym, going to look on the wall and just see, like, that was it. Our coaches put in a lot of time. Yeah. I saw it this morning, small groups and just discussion, maybe not making a cut, but maybe letting them know like where they stand right now. Yeah. Our coaches do a lot in preseason and also when the season ends. Yeah. So they do a postseason evaluation or summary with the players. So the communication is good. Yeah. And hopefully people know where they stand. That's great. I mean, I think that's so huge. I think Dave Clay, maybe your basketball coach, was the first one to tell me that and he has a lot of big numbers I know come out. I think he was the first one to tell me I'll never cut a kid and not tell him to his face. And I said, that's different for me. I would have loved to have sat down with a coach and figured out, like, I remember I had a coach years later tell me I was, didn't make the basketball team. I had always juggled basketball and hockey. He said, I'm going to jump the hockey and try out, sophomore year. And the basketball coach, I remember being like, I wish you stuck with basketball. Mm-hmm. Like we would have loved you in the program. Like you would have been a player here. And I was like, why didn't you tell me that? Like I didn't know how far off I was. I don't know. It's weird. Dave's very good at that, and Dave's program is the one that has to cut the most. Yeah. Because of the success that he has from building the youth program. Yep. And working with camps and clinics and things. We're like in the 70s for boys basketball tryouts, and we keep about 45. Yeah. And it's because of roster sizes and only 5 playing at a
uniforms,
time.
Seriously.
We'll buy more uniforms if we need them, but
yeah.
But it's the logistics of the team.
Yeah.
We could have 1 or 2 more teams. We wouldn't have anybody to play.
Right.
But that's where we're at.
He loses sleep over it. He told me.
I know he does. Yeah, and when he says he meets individually with everyone, every one of those 30 kids he will meet with.
Yeah. And that's why players love playing for him, right? You know, well, that's interesting stuff. Busing shortage, okay? You guys doing okay with buses? I know it's been a statewide issue, but we'll see.
We haven't been told yet. We haven't been told.
Yeah. So. All right. So I guess some things haven't changed from the pandemic, right?
I know there's an official shortage as well,
yeah.
and we're told you can't play on these days, and trying to schedule a game, especially with a non-league. It's really difficult, and we were just told on Columbus Day you can't play at 10 o'clock. You have to, because officials are working, and there are so few officials now. You know, something has to change quickly. Yeah. To change this official shortage, or we're going to be. I don't know what we're going to do. It's
mostly fan reaction, right? I mean, I know pay. It's not the most best paying gig in the world, but I don't think officials ever did it for the pay anyway. I think in the end it has to come down to the officiating experience, and then maybe there's fans that have just gotten crazy over the years. I feel like they've always been kind of crazy, but I mean, I saw a Little League game where parents were just all over this 13-year-old umpire recently, and I was like, I can't even get over it. Mm-hmm. Like working this kid every pitch, you know, like before the ball's even hit home plate. Yeah. I'm like, relax there, 55-year-old fellow, you know? And it has to be that more than anything else, right? I don't think it's a money thing, or I don't know. Maybe you can correct me, but
no, I think what we're hearing is it's the way they're treated. Not everywhere, but some are being pushed out because of the lack of respect shown to them, or the game experience isn't great. So I'm not an official, so I can't speak for them, but that's what we're being told. It's not worth it anymore. Yeah. To have to deal with certain things, and the money is the money, but I don't think that they do it for that.
Right. You've been through Little Leagues. I know you've seen it at different fields. You've probably rolled your eyes at several different situations. Like, you've probably seen parents like lose themselves. Man, John's a great guy over there, but he is going crazy today for whatever reason. You know?
Yeah, we could do a whole show on that. and I see it in like the club level. Yeah. That might not be. That might not have the same expectations or limitations in some sports where people are just nuts at times, you know, and they have seem to have the best interest, with their child in mind, but maybe it doesn't always come out that way. Yeah. We have in Newburyport, we have a strong student section. We have strong adult support for parents and alums that come back. Mm-hmm. So we're in a good spot here. We have a lot of enthusiasm. So it's not like that everywhere.
Right. But last one, I know you're going to go. Do you ever have to get involved with that, with the fan situation? Like, have you ever had a situation where you've had to go over to, whether it be students, parents, I don't know, it could be anybody theoretically, and say, hey, chill out a little bit?
That does happen. It happens more often than any of us want it to happen. And most people are good about it. And I just left a meeting. We're actually having a Cape Ann League leadership workshop right next door here in the Senior Center.
Oh, okay.
On September 23rd. And we're bringing all the schools together, bringing leaders from their communities, from their school. And we're doing workshops on leadership. And one of the emphasis this year is fan expectation, student expectation, player, coaches, officials. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to be consistent as a league. We all have the same expectation, but now the kids, the student athletes, are going to help us come up with some guidelines and some signage that this is okay and this is not okay. This is, it's okay to respect an opponent. Yep. And hopefully we're doing that.
Good stuff. All right, we'll end with that. I like the whole respectful and be good to officials conversation to head into the fall season. I think that's a good way to leave it right there. Kyle Hodsdon, athletic director at Newburyport High School. The Clippers are ready to roll here for another fall season, and here we go, back to school. How about that? Thank you for the time, Kyle, as always.
Thank you. Looking forward to coming back again.
All right, should be a fun season. Live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Sarah Blackstone, thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Peace.